Here at Hale's we have a mission, which is exposing people to something of quality that's very creative at the same time.
We just make beer that we like to drink, and it's just fortuitous that everybody else also likes it.
My name is Mike Hale, founded Hale's Brewery here in Seattle, Washington. Well, started in 1983 in Colville, Washington. We would start the batch on a Monday and get it all put to bed and load the truck and drive Monday night to Seattle. Catnapping along the way, and in the morning they are in Seattle. You deliver to your distributor and call on a few accounts, gather your empty kegs and come back. We couldn't make enough beer, so we thought, well, let's build another brewery, but let's do it in Seattle so we didn't have to make that long drive all the time. I had an opportunity to build a little brewery in downtown Kirkland. That opened up the Seattle market to us, and we were able to grow further. And a time came where we needed more beer yet. We built a brewery in Spokane at an old schoolhouse. So we were still hauling beer back and forth because Kirkland couldn't keep up either. And eventually we outgrew both those. So we found this place in Seattle, this on Leary Way here in the center of the known universe. Close Spokane, and built a 30-barrel brewery here in Fremont. And we built a pub, because you need a place to show off your beer and taste your beer. It continues to be fun after 34 years. It's just always an adventure and an interesting experience.
My name is Chris Sheehan, and I'm the head brewer at Hale's Ales. I first moved here from Denver. Worked at Hale's for 8.5 years now. I had a coworker who did it, and I thought it was such a crazy, cool idea that you could make your own beer at home. And so I got into it and just took off from there and took over my life, and I came out to Seattle with the whole point of just trying to find a brewery that will take me in. Normal day is very much different from what a lot of people seem to think happens in a brewery. I think a lot of people generalize us into this category like we show up to work and we have a rock star job and we just drink beer all day and party, and that's definitely not the case at all. I pretty much do whatever needs to be done to continue to make this place run and make beer. So I've been a plumber, an electrician, an engineer, a brewer, a bartender, whatever it needs to be done. I just kind of fill in. That's how I view myself, my role. Usually I'll have a list of things I need to do. When I come in, it's just constant chaos and flux, but I think that's part of the draw for it to me. Brewing beer is very much like my craft, and I feel very fulfilled by what I do and what we do around here. Today we're canning beer. We have a depalletizer that takes the cans apart, puts them into a singular line. They get rinsed, and the rinse water falls out, and they get righted and they flow onto the machine. They'll get a burst of CO2 that kind of puts a blanket into the can before it starts filling the beer. The beer will fill into the can, it gets a lid on top, and then that'll seam shut. And then we have two people collecting those cans on the end of the line and putting them into cases and repalletizing filled cans of beer. Another brewer who's kegging beer, that machine will wash kegs on one side and fill kegs on the other side in tandem. And so that person's role is to wash them and fill them, and then put a brand label on that, put them into our cold room so that we can distribute those around the area bars. Our brew system is a 30-barrel brew house. It's a gravity-fed system, so that is a unique character that we have. So that will be the brew deck. There's three vessels. The top highest vessel is the mash tun. That's where the brewing process begins. And then we separate all the grain material, the husk and bits, from the liquid wort, and that flows into the kettle, which is the next tiered vessel. And from there we'll boil that liquid for about an hour. That's where we add our first dosage of hops. After that boil, it'll go, all that wort drops down in the lowest vessel, and that's what we call our hop back. And then that last vessel, it's more or less just kind of a holding tank. From there, we flash cool the beer to about room temperature and then send it into a fermentation tank. So this room with the windows on this other side here, that is our main fermentation room. We do an extensive barrel program here that adds a great dynamic to the flavor. I would estimate 98% of what we make stays in and around the Seattle area.
Very fresh, brewed right in the same town, really.
That correlates with Mike's whole premise that fresh local craft beer should be fresh, local, and crafted in your neighborhood.
It all comes down to the people that work here and share the burden. Because I certainly don't do this by myself.
The brewers that we have hired are ones that we see as applicants time and again that keep coming in, and maybe they'll bring us home brew and just looking for a foot in somewhere, and it's that level of persistence that pays off here as we put in that work into the beer all the time.
What's in future is really more exploring the world of beer, which has unlimited horizons, it would seem.
We've been around for 35 years. That there is an accomplishment. We're constantly going to work on these recipes and trying to improve them all the time.
It's all about the beer and having fun doing it.